Describe the choices and issues in index construction and management. Describe rebalancing and reconstitution of an index. When constructing an index, there are 5 issues that index managers must deal with. First, they must define a target market. Second, they must determine which securities to include in the index. Third, they must determine how to weigh those securities in the index. Fourth, they must determine if or when the index should be rebalanced. And fifth, they must determine when to reconstitute the index. Let's take a look at each of these issues a bit more closely. The first issue is determining which market the index will target. Security selection could be narrowly or broadly defined, and could include securities from a specific region, a certain asset class, a particular sector or industry, stocks that trade on a particular exchange, or any number of other defining characteristics, such as credit quality or size, to name just a few. By defining the target market, the index provider has an investment universe in which to select stocks. Determining how securities should be selected is the next issue that index providers must deal with. The constituent securities could be all of those in a target market, or only a representative sample of that market. The provider must also determine how many securities to select. Some indices, like the S&P 500, fix the number of securities included in the index, and others, like the TOPIX, allow the number to fluctuate based on changes in the target market. Lastly, index providers decide on whether to use objective mechanical rules to determine the security selection or subjective rules, such as through the use of a selection committee. The S&P 500, for example, uses a selection committee, whilst the TOPIX uses the objective-based rule that includes every stock in the TOPIX. Next, the index provider must determine how to weight the securities within the index. There are several ways this can be achieved. An index can be price-weighted, equal-weighted, market capitalization weighted, or fundamentally weighted. We will compare each method and learn how to calculate their respective returns in the next section. The next issue managers face when managing an index is deciding on when it needs to be rebalanced. Over time, the constituent securities weights in the index will change as their market prices change. Securities that outperform others will have a larger weight in the index, whilst those securities that underperform will hold a smaller weight in the index. Price-weighted indices are not rebalanced, as the weights are determined by market prices, and market cap-weighted indices are only rebalanced to reflect mergers, acquisitions, liquidations, and other corporate actions between rebalancing dates. Equal-weighted indices do require rebalancing, with many indices choosing to rebalance on a quarterly basis. Index reconstitution is the process of changing constituent securities in the index. This is the final issue index managers face, and is often done in conjunction with rebalancing the index. When constituent securities no longer meet the inclusion criteria, they may be removed from the index at the next rebalancing date. Additionally, new securities may be added that better fit the inclusion criteria. Reconstitution creates turnover in a number of ways, especially for market capitalization weighted indices. During reconstitution, the index provider must change the weights of the other constituents in order to maintain market capitalization weighting of the index.